Hi, I'm Aiman. Welcome back to one of my auto repair videos. In this video, I'm going to perform an oil change on my dad's Honda Civic EXL 2017, which also applies to 2016 to 2022. And if everything goes right, I'll show you how to do it. But this is the first time I've ever performed an oil change on this car, so hopefully all goes well. The first thing that we're going to do is jack the car up, or we can drive onto a ramp. But the thing is, this car is too low that we actually can't drive it onto the ramp. So that's out of the way. So we jacked it behind the wheels, and we also have the jack on the side just in case, so that it's entirely safe so the car doesn't come down on me. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look under the hood, see if we can locate the oil pan and the filter. And in order to do that, we just go to the driver's side, pull this lever, and you heard that click, indicating that we can open the hood. Or rather, pop the hood. And we have to locate the lever. Yep, I feel a lever. Oh, push it to the side. So, push to the right, and lift with your left hand. Okay. Alright, so let me just pop this under. Alright. If you didn't get that, you just need to press this lever to the right in order to pop the hood and lift it with your left hand. So let's see if we can locate the oil pan or the filter from the top. Let me get my light. It's so dark. It's so dense that I can barely look through all the mess. I'd say this is a product of fine engineering. Just the fact that you can fit all of this under the hood, so it doesn't take up too much space, but also makes it very tricky. I know it's going to be very tricky for when we need to do future repairs, which means we're going to have to remove a lot of parts if we want to get something that's anywhere under this. And first impressions, I don't think I can see the oil pan or even the filter. So we're going to have to look from the bottom of the car. Alright, so usually when you do an oil change, you do it from the bottom. And you need to locate, basically what we're looking for is the oil pan and also the oil pan bolt, so that we can drain it. I don't see an oil pan anywhere in the front, which is where it usually is. By the way, you might see the bunny in the background of our video somewhere. He just ran back to the neighbor's yard. Never mind. Maybe under the splash shield. The splash shield is to prevent the car, protect the car from rust and other things that come from the bottom of the car. And if usually the oil pan's located somewhere under here, so I'm guessing it's under or behind the splash shield. So we're going to unscrew these screws that are fastening the splash shield here, and it looks like from these tabs we're going to slide the splash shield out, but we just need to start with these 4 screws. All right, this is what I love about working on new cars. None of the bolts are rusted, or none of the screws are rusted. I guess none of the bolts are rusted too, which makes a lot of the loosening much easier. I don't want to strip this screw, so I'm going to use a thicker screwdriver. That might be too wide. Okay, I'll loosen that later. And also this one closer to you. Okay, so that's what the screwdriver looks like. Does it have a fastener on it? Oh, I mean a washer on it? Okay, it looks like it has a washer on it. So make sure you don't lose that. Okay, I'm going to remove these off camera, or find a better screwdriver off camera. Okay, so we have a thicker screwdriver. This one shouldn't strip the screws when I loosen them. Oh my. Okay, so that's what the screw looks like. Very different from the other one. I wonder why. Same thing here. Let me just move this out of the way. Oh, I can feel the dirt on my hair. But as a mechanic, you kind of get used to this. Here's the screw. Let's try pushing it. And it looks like it doesn't budge. Okay. And that's because I suspected that there's these actual other fasteners 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that you actually need to use a flathead to loosen. And you can see on the head of the fasteners that they have arrows, which indicate that you have to turn them in that direction in order to loosen them. Okay, so let's try from here. And I'll do one closer to me. Oh, and I think when you usually have an arrow on the head of a fastener, that means you only have to turn it a quarter of a turn. And you can see on the bottom that pretty much indicates the same thing. If you want to put these back on, I'm assuming that you make the line parallel with the front side of the car. So when you want to put it back on, you probably make it look like this, and then you twist it in. Okay, but we're going to loosen the rest of them. So it's only a quarter turn. They just slide out. It'd be really funny if the oil pan was not behind this shield. Okay. And finally, this one over here. Okay, so let's try. Let's put these down here. Make sure all these are together so we don't lose any of them. Let's try sliding this out. Whoa. And if you slide it out, make sure you don't get any of it in your mouth or your eyes. So when this comes out, you should know that it's gonna fall out of these lips. Now we're gonna put that in the back. Okay, so now we can get a look at the oil pan, and I think I've already located, oh, look right here guys, it says engine oil. So if there was any miscommunication, this is clearly the oil pan, and this is the oil pan drain bolt, or drain plug. And let's see, oh, and right here, this big cylinder right here, this blue one, is the oil filter. So keep that in mind for when we replace the oil filter. If you're a veteran watcher of my channel and you've watched my oil changes on other cars, you'll know that we usually drain the oil first and then replace the filter. And you can actually replace the filter and then drain the oil. Usually we do that just because, just in case like we want all the oil to drain out and then we want the filter to replace so that none of the old oil circulates through the new filter or something like that. That's my reasoning for it. Hey bunny. So that guy's gonna be recurrent. Hopefully he doesn't like hop in the oil pan. But we're going to replace the oil filter, and sometimes you can actually, if you want to, you don't even have to drain the oil. You can actually just replace the filter. And this might happen if, let's say, you're using oil that lasts longer than your filter. For example, this oil lasts 20,000 miles. And the genuine filter, the Honda genuine filter, where is it? Only lasts 5,000 miles. So you replace this every 4 times you replace this once. So you can replace it that way, or you can do what Uncle Use did, and you can replace the filter, but instead of replacing the oil, you can drain the oil, and then you can just run it through a strainer or a filter, and then put it back in. And Uncle Use, he did that because he drove a lot, and you know, he was a veteran mechanic, so he felt pretty comfortable doing it. And you know, Uncle Use was a pretty big inspiration to us for becoming a mechanic. He's passed away now, rest his soul. But in the future, maybe we'll use that. If you guys want to discuss in the comments down below if that's a reasonable thing to do, like just draining the oil and then running it through a filter, let me know. I mean, if Uncle Use did it, I trust him, but you know, then again, he did kind of take shortcuts sometimes. But anyway, going back to the topic of the video, we're going to replace the filter first. So we're going to use this Honda Extended Performance M1 110A, and this lasts 20,000 miles. So it lasts the same time as the oil. And the reason that we're replacing it with such a good filter is because we don't want to have to do another oil change until the summer. And 20,000 miles is a lot to drive. My dad probably won't drive that much until the summer. So that's why we're going to replace it with this filter, which lasts 20,000 miles. And we're going to get right to it. Okay, so my dad also informed me that I wasn't facing this the right way. So here you go. And to loosen the oil filter, you can either use your hands. I have to wear gloves, so I'm not sure if I'll get enough grip for this. I'm not even sure if I'm strong enough to do it with my hands. Or you can use a special socket that is shaped to fit the oil filter. Or you can use one of these tightening clasps that go around the filter and allow you to... They're basically supposed to be adjustable for any shape of filter. And this allows you to loosen it. But I'm going to try with my hands first. Make sure you have gloves on standby because we are dealing with oil. Personally, I don't mind oil, but for the sake of this video, we're going to wear gloves. Okay, so I can't do it with my hands. Unfortunate. I don't think even if I had these gloves off, I would be able to get a good grip. So we're going to use this socket. I'm not going to demonstrate this tool. I've demonstrated it in other videos if you want to check them out. Alright, so we're going to do these things directly to the point because we have to go. I have a haunted hayride to get to. So after this point, I can take this off. I just want to loosen this with my hand. As soon as you loosen this, it's good practice to wear gloves, by the way. As soon as you loosen this, some oil is going to come out. You can see it's leaking right now. So you want to have your oil pan or your oil collection pan under the oil pan, ready to collect all that fluid. Now you want to loosen the oil filter entirely. And as you loosen it, all that oil is going to drain into the bottom. Oh my god. Why are there so many threads? Anyway, this is why you wear gloves. Very dirty. And as soon as you let go of it, as soon as it comes out the entire way, you want to tilt that oil filter into your oil collection pan. Let that drain out. After this is done, you want to wipe the place where the oil filter was. You want to make sure that's clean, and then you can replace it. While waiting for that to drain, we're going to pull the oil plug out. That is a 17mm socket. Okay, let me move it so I can get better clearance. So I have to make sure that all the oil that comes out in the right place. Alright, this is the best angle I can get leverage in, so if this doesn't work, then I'll get my dad to help me out. Oh. Okay, get that pan. We're going to collect that oil. Just loosen this. It's going to start leaking, and then it's probably going to start gushing out when I take all that oil out. Okay, it's not gushing yet. Okay. There we go. So when it starts gushing, you're going to see that stream goes way farther than just directly downwards. So make sure you have your oil pan positioned to collect all of that. We're going to we're going to dry that bolt. And usually with Honda cars, they have a crush washer at the end of the bolt that provides a seal for the oil when we tighten the drain bolt. And as you can see, on this one, it looks like it has the same crush washer. So we're actually going to replace this crush washer. Some people don't. I know Uncle Yus never replaced them. And when we reinstall the drain bolt, we're going to clean this up, put the crush washer on, and tighten it. Not too little, not too much, so that it provides the right seal. Alright, so we're not going to wait for it to drain completely. If you're doing this job, it's probably in your best interest to let it drain completely, but we're kind of running out of time. So we're just going to finish this job here. Let me wipe this off. And then we're going to, what is that lint? We have the new crush washer on. Let me just take that out. You can buy these for fairly cheap, and you can buy even the genuine ones for fairly cheap. Just put them on and insert them into the opening. And then when you tighten them, like I said, not too little, not too much. And the best way you can do this, you can tell if it's too little or too much, is you want to keep tightening it by hand. You want to keep tightening it by a wrench up until you feel resistance, and at that point, then you want to do about 1/8 to 1/4 of a turn. Okay. So, all right, I already feel resistance, so I'm only gonna go for like 1/16 to 1/8 of a turn. There we go. So that was less than 1/8 of a turn, but I don't want to do it too much. Okay, so as we've done in my previous videos, usually when we replace the oil filter, usually rub some oil on the top of the filter, which has rubber. I don't know if you can see, there might be glare on this. You see the rubber. We're going to take some oil, which we have in this cap here, and just rub it around that ring to provide that nice seal. Some people even put it in the filter, though I don't think that's necessary. We don't do it. So that seal has been not yet created. We're going to create it when we tighten it. So we're going to do this by hand, and I think I'm going to be able to tighten it by hand enough so that you don't have to go in after with a wrench. Okay, so now it's secured, pretty tight on. It's not like you have to like torque it because this doesn't provide any structural support, but just make sure it's snug, and there you go. Now what we need to do is refill the oil. Okay, so now we're filling the oil. This system's going to take about 3.4 quarts of oil. So if we have a 5-quart of OW20, we're going to leave 1.5 quarts left. That's going to be a bit more than 3.4. That's going to be 3.5, but you know, approximate. We're going to locate the oil cap. You want to keep this in mind for later when we refill the oil. Also locate the dipstick. This is what you're going to use to check the level of oil. Just locate the bottom that's between these two holes. But when you refill the oil, let me just put this to the side. This is making it a bit difficult to do the video. When you refill the oil, it's best to use a funnel. You're going to loosen the cap. Put that somewhere where you won't lose it. Seems to be a very convenient spot for it. Put the funnel on the top. You're probably gonna have to keep it in place if you don't have a good enough funnel. This one doesn't look like it stays in place that well. And you want to take your oil very carefully, because this is on the hood of the car. Just pour it in. And because I need to get ready for this hayride, I'm actually gonna ask my dad to do this off camera. But the idea is that as you keep refilling, you want to continuously check the amount of oil that you have left. And when it gets to the halfway point between 1 and 2, which is 1.5 quarts, then you want to stop. You probably overfilled it if you're already at that point, because like I said, it's only 3.4 quarts and you're filling it with 3.5. But just keep wary of that. It's better to have less in the system then you check your dipstick. If there's too little, then you can just add more later. If you put too much, then you kind of have to clean up a mess. Alright, so I'm back. My dad put all the oil in, and he refilled it. He put the cap back on. He used the dipstick to tell if the oil was in there. Now, if the oil was at the right level. Now keep in mind that because the car is jacked right now, the oil won't be at the accurate level. So you have to let the car down and then use the dipstick again to make sure that the oil is at the right amount. And then refill it if it isn't. After that, my dad went under the car and then he put the plate back on, or the shield back on, by screwing in the fasteners that only went 90 degrees, and also the the 4 screws at the front, the ones that were wide and the ones that were short. And after that, the job is done. So I'm Aiman, and today I showed you how to do an oil change on a Honda Civic EXL 2016-2022. If you want to check out my other videos on on oil changes, go check them out. I pretty much do the same procedure in all of them. This one was very standard. The only thing that was different was taking off the shield, but it was a very fun process, and I'm really glad that we got to do it because it's probably one of the experiences that I get trying to do a new car. But my company is here, so I have to go. So I'm Aiman, and see you next time. Signing out. Peace.